In the heart of Europe, there is a country where history never truly fades. That country is Hungary, a land shaped by rivers, plains, and centuries of change. For over 1,000 years, kingdoms have risen and fallen, leaving their mark across the land. Much of this land lies on a vast plain, where distance shapes how people live and build their world. Water flows through every part of Hungary, from the Danube to lakes and hidden thermal springs underground. Over time, this landscape has created a culture that feels both familiar and completely unique. Here, East meets West, and every city tells a story shaped by both worlds. From quiet villages to historic cities, every place reveals a different side of Hungary. In this journey, we explore the most breathtaking places that make this country truly unforgettable. Our journey begins in a city where a single river defines the rhythm of everything around it. The Danube cuts through Budapest, creating a natural boundary between two contrasting worlds. On one side, Buda rises with rolling hills, where stone walls and castles overlook the water from above. Across the river, Pest stretches wide and flat, filled with long boulevards, cafes, and the constant movement of daily life. For centuries, these two sides developed separately, one shaped by power, the other by commerce and expansion. It was only in 1873 that Buda, Pest, and Óbuda were officially unified into a single capital. The chain bridge, completed in 1849, became the first permanent link across the river, connecting two worlds. Along the riverbank stands the Hungarian Parliament, stretching nearly 268 meters, its reflection shimmering on the water. Its central dome rises 96 meters high, mirroring the height of St. Stephen's Basilica across the city skyline. Beneath the streets, more than 120 thermal springs flow silently, heating the ground from below. In open-air baths, people sit in steaming water, even in winter, turning an ancient habit into a daily ritual. In Budapest, every street, every bridge, and every reflection tells a story shaped by water, history, and time. Leaving the capital behind, the landscape begins to open into something wider and calmer. At the center of this landscape lies Lake Balaton, often called the Hungarian Sea. Stretching about 77 kilometers in length, it is the largest lake in Central Europe. Yet what makes it unique is not its size, but its shallow depth, rarely exceeding 12 meters. Because of this, the water warms quickly under the summer sun, reaching temperatures similar to tropical seas. For generations, families have come here to swim, sail, and spend long days by the water. Along the northern shore, volcanic hills rise gently, covered in vineyards that produce white wines. On the southern side, the land flattens into long sandy beaches that stretch for kilometers. Small fishing villages and quiet towns line the shore, each with its own rhythm and character. As the sun lowers, the surface of the lake turns into a mirror, reflecting the sky in shifting colors. Here, time seems to slow, shaped by water, light, and the quiet movement of the horizon. At Lake Balaton, the absence of the sea is replaced by something just as vast and unexpectedly intimate. Moving along the northern shore of Lake Balaton, the landscape begins to rise unexpectedly. A narrow piece of land extends into the water, forming one of the most recognizable shapes in Hungary. This is Tihany, a volcanic peninsula created thousands of years ago by ancient eruptions. The hills here rise abruptly from the flat surroundings, offering a natural viewpoint over the lake. At the highest point stands the Benedictine Abbey, founded in the year 1055. From here, the entire Balaton stretches out, its surface changing color with the light. Around the abbey, a small village unfolds, with white houses following the curves of the hill. Narrow streets lead past local shops, cafes, and terraces overlooking the water. In summer, fields of lavender bloom across the peninsula, covering the hills in shades of purple. The scent carries through the air, mixing with the breeze coming from the lake. Down by the shore, small harbors shelter boats from sudden storms crossing Balaton. From above, Tihany reveals a rare contrast, a landscape shaped by fire, now defined by stillness and light. Between the two halves of Budapest, the river does something unexpected. It slows, widens, and forms a long island at its center. Margaret Island stretches for about 2.5 kilometers, separating the flow of the Danube. From above, it appears as a continuous strip of green within a dense urban environment. Access is limited, and most of the island remains free of regular traffic. Instead, movement here follows a different pattern, defined by walking, cycling, and running. Paths run parallel to the riverbanks, forming loops that guide people through the space. The island itself was built gradually over centuries, shaped by layers of river sediment. Hidden within the trees are ruins of a Dominican convent, dating back several hundred years. These fragments belong to a time when the island served as a place of isolation and retreat. Today, the same space is filled with activity, where individuals move independently yet share the same environment. Margaret Island functions less like a destination and more like a system that continuously absorbs and redistributes the life of the city. Then, without warning, the landscape opens again, but this time it feels completely different. No hills, no trees, just a flat horizon stretching as far as the eye can see. This is Hortobágy, the largest natural steppe in Europe. A vast expanse where distance is measured not in meters, but in time and movement. For centuries, this land has been shaped by extreme conditions. In summer, temperatures can rise above 40 degrees Celsius, cracking the dry soil. In winter, cold winds sweep across the plains with nothing to slow them down. Here, Hungarian shepherds developed unique ways of living, adapting to this open environment. Some ride standing on 2 horses at once, maintaining balance across uneven ground. Herds of grey cattle move slowly across the land, their long horns cutting through the horizon line. Seasonal migration still shapes life here, following water, grass, and shifting conditions. In Hortobágy, survival is not about control. It is about adapting to a land that never changes for you. Beyond the steppe, the flatness continues, but its meaning begins to change. The Great Hungarian Plain covers most of the country, forming one of the largest continuous lowlands in Europe. Here, the land stretches so evenly that elevation differences are often barely noticeable. Over centuries, this terrain shaped how people settled and organized their lives. Unlike compact villages seen elsewhere in Europe, many communities here developed in a scattered pattern. Houses were built closer to farmland, reducing the need to travel long distances each day. This pattern allowed farmers to stay connected directly to the land they depended on. Agriculture became the dominant way of life, supported by the wide open terrain. Crops stretch across the horizon, broken only by roads, trees, and distant structures. Even today, this rural structure remains largely unchanged, especially in eastern regions. Daily life here follows cycles of seasons, weather, and the needs of the land. On the Great Plain, space is not empty. It is structured quietly by the way people live within it. As the Danube continues its course, the landscape begins to narrow between rising hills. Here, the river forms a curve known as the Danube Bend. This natural passage has long been a strategic point, controlling movement across Central Europe. Rising above the bend, the castle of Visegrad stands on a rocky hill about 300 meters high. From this height, it offered a clear view of everything moving along the river below. The Romans first recognized the importance of this location and fortified it. Centuries later, Hungarian rulers expanded the fortress in the 13th century. The walls follow the natural shape of the rock, adapting to the terrain instead of altering it. At its peak, the castle also served as a royal residence, combining defense with comfort. Below, the river continues to curve, creating a natural corridor through the hills. Standing here, the relationship between land and power becomes impossible to ignore. Visegrad is not just a fortress, but a reminder that control once depended on where you stood. Following the Danube northward, the river leads to one of the oldest cities in Hungary. Esztergom stands at a bend in the river, marking a place where history began to take shape. More than 1,000 years ago, this was the first capital of the Hungarian kingdom. Today, the skyline is dominated by a single structure that rises above everything else. The Esztergom Basilica is the largest church in the country. Its dome reaches about 96 meters in height, visible from kilometers away. From across the river, the structure appears even more imposing against the open sky. Just beyond the water lies Slovakia, only a short distance from the city center. From the dome, the view reveals both countries at once, divided only by the river. Inside, the scale continues, with vast interiors designed to reflect spiritual power. Pilgrims still come here, making it one of the most important religious sites in Hungary. In Esztergom, height is not only architectural, it reflects how belief has been placed above everything else. Just a short distance from Budapest, the rhythm of the landscape shifts once again. The Danube slows here, forming a quieter and more intimate bend. Along its banks lies Szentendre, a town that feels unlike anywhere else in Hungary. In the 16th century, communities fleeing the Ottoman expansion settled here. Many of them were Serbian Orthodox, bringing with them their traditions, art, and architecture. As a result, the town developed with influences rarely seen elsewhere in the country. Colorful houses line narrow streets that climb gently away from the river. Orthodox church domes rise above the rooftops, adding a distinct silhouette to the skyline. Small shops and galleries fill the streets, reflecting the town's long-standing artistic identity. Walking through Szentendre feels less like moving through space and more like moving between cultures. Every corner reveals a mix of influences shaped over hundreds of years. In Szentendre, identity is not fixed. It is layered, carried, and quietly preserved through time. Further south, the terrain softens and the light begins to feel different. Pécs appears as a city shaped not by a single era, but by accumulation. Its origins trace back nearly 2,000 years, when the Romans established a settlement here. Beneath the surface, early Christian burial chambers remain, preserved over centuries. These structures now form part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site. In the 16th century, Ottoman influence introduced mosques and new spatial forms into the city. Some of these buildings were later adapted, turning from mosques into churches. Above ground, Baroque architecture defines many of the streets seen today. The cathedral, founded around the year 1000, rises with 4 towers over the city center. Distances here are short, allowing different periods to coexist within walking range. Movement through the city becomes a sequence of transitions between materials, forms, and histories. Pécs does not present a single narrative. It requires you to assemble one from the fragments it leaves behind. Returning to Budapest, the focus shifts from geography to authority. On the western bank of the Danube, a hill rises sharply above the surrounding city. At its summit stands Buda Castle, occupying a position that has been central for centuries. The first royal residence was established here in the 13th century. Over time, the complex expanded, adapting to changing rulers and functions. Its walls follow the contours of the hill, integrating structure with terrain. From above, the castle forms a continuous system of courtyards, corridors, and defensive edges. The elevation difference between the hill and the river below reaches over 100 meters. Access routes are limited, guiding movement through controlled entry points. From the terraces, the entire city of Pest spreads out across the river in clear view. The castle once functioned as both residence and administrative center for the kingdom. In Buda Castle, power is not only represented, it is organized, directed, and built into the landscape itself. In the center of Pest, space opens in a different way, not shaped by land, but by intention. Streets converge toward a single focal point, drawing movement inward. At that point, stands St. Stephen's Basilica, one of the most important landmarks in Budapest. Construction began in the mid-19th century and took several decades to complete. The dome rises to 96 meters, matching the height of the Parliament across the river. This alignment reflects a symbolic balance between spiritual and civic authority. The facade faces a wide square, designed to accommodate large gatherings. Inside, the space expands vertically, drawing the eye upward through columns and arches. Light enters through high windows, shifting throughout the day across the interior surfaces. Visitors move slowly here, adjusting their pace to the scale of the structure. The basilica also houses the preserved right hand of Hungary's first king. Movement, scale, and alignment come together in this place to guide how people experience the city itself. Not far from Tokaj, the landscape tightens again, drawing attention toward a fortified town. Eger rises around a castle that once stood at the center of a defining moment in Hungarian history. In the year 1552, Ottoman forces advanced toward the city. The defenders, numbering only a few thousand, held against a much larger army. The siege lasted for several weeks, with repeated attempts to breach the walls. Despite the pressure, the fortress remained under Hungarian control. Today, the castle still stands, its walls preserving traces of that conflict. Below, the town has expanded, with Baroque buildings filling the streets around it. Wine cellars stretch beneath the city, continuing a local tradition that developed after those events. Eger is remembered not for its size, but for a moment when resistance defined its place in history. Back in Budapest, attention shifts from monuments to something more everyday. Steam rises above a large outdoor complex, visible even from a distance. Széchenyi Baths is one of the largest thermal bath complexes in Europe. More than a dozen pools are fed by natural springs from deep underground. Water temperatures range from the mid-20s to nearly 40 degrees Celsius. The water is rich in minerals, shaped by geological processes over thousands of years. Visitors move slowly between pools, adjusting to different temperatures and spaces. Some sit quietly, while others gather around floating boards to play chess. Even during winter, people remain outdoors, surrounded by steam and cold air. At Szczecin, bathing becomes more than relaxation. It is part of how the city lives with the ground beneath it. At first glance, the surface looks calm, almost unchanged. But beneath it, something continuous is happening. Lake Heves covers roughly 4.5 hectares, surrounded by dense green edges. A thermal spring rises from a depth of about 38 meters, pushing water upward. The flow remains constant, circulating the entire lake within a matter of days. Temperature stays warm year-round, often remaining above 30 degrees Celsius. As the body enters the water, buoyancy becomes immediately noticeable. Movement slows, not because of stillness, but because resistance disappears. The surface is scattered with water lilies, breaking the open water into shifting patches. Heves changes how space is felt, not by what you see, but by how your body responds to it. Further into the northern hills, the terrain compresses into sharper, more defined forms. A thin ridge rises from the landscape, limiting what can be built upon it. Boldoco Castle extends along this ridge, following its exact shape. Built in the 13th century, its layout was dictated by the terrain itself. The walls run close to the edges, leaving minimal interior space. Drops on either side reach dozens of meters, forming a natural defense. Movement inside the castle is restricted to narrow paths and corridors. Every element is compressed, shaped by the lack of available space. From the ridge, the surrounding valleys appear distant and detached. Boldoco shows how limitation can define structure more clearly than freedom ever could. The land flattens as the river widens, opening into a different kind of space. Szeged forms at this point, where movement gathers and spreads outward. In the late 19th century, a flood covered most of the city. Water levels rose above buildings, forcing a complete reconstruction. The rebuilt city followed a planned structure with wide boulevards and open squares. Streets extend outward in curved lines, forming a radial pattern. Buildings rise in consistent height, creating a uniform skyline. Light moves freely across the open spaces throughout the day. Movement feels guided rather than restricted, shaped by the layout itself. Szeged reflects a moment when destruction was followed by deliberate design. The land opens outward, stretching across a wide and uninterrupted horizon. Debration appears gradually across the flat ground, shaped by space rather than height. No natural edges define the city, and nothing rises sharply to contain it. Streets extend in long lines, crossing the terrain without interruption. Movement gathers at a central square, then disperses again in every direction. Two towers rise above the surrounding buildings, visible from far across the city. Built in the early 19th century, the structure holds its position without overwhelming the space. Light moves freely across the open ground, shifting with the time of day. People cross steadily, their paths rarely staying together for long. The view continues outward, carrying the same rhythm beyond the visible edge. The surface of the water appears still at first, broken only by thin wooden lines stretching across it. Bokod is spread across this surface, a network of narrow walkways and small huts standing above the water. Dozens of structures are supported by wooden stilts, evenly spaced but slightly uneven in height. The walkways extend for several hundred meters, linking each structure into a continuous path. Beneath them, the water holds a steady warmth, even when the air above turns cold. In winter, the lake rarely freezes, leaving dark open water between the wooden lines. Walking across the narrow planks, each step feels suspended, with water visible on both sides. Reflections move below, bending and shifting with small changes in the surface. The lines stretch outward in parallel, gradually fading into distance and light. For a moment, everything aligns: structure, water, and light, before the pattern loosens again. The ground softens as it approaches the edge of the lake, with sand and grass replacing stone. Castelli stretches along the western shore, opening directly onto the water. The shoreline runs for several kilometers, forming a wide and gentle curve. Near the edge, the water remains shallow, extending outward before gradually deepening. The color shifts from pale green to deeper blue as distance increases. Low buildings line the shore, leaving clear views toward the open horizon. In warmer months, people gather near the water, moving slowly between shaded areas and the shore. Small boats drift across the surface, leaving thin, fading trails behind them. Light reflects in wide bands, shifting with wind and subtle changes in the surface. The water holds the last light longer than the land, before the surface slowly dims. By now, the journey feels less like a series of places and more like something that stayed with you. The details begin to blend together, even as they slowly fade from view. Not everything stands out, but some things remain without asking to. A quiet street you walked without thinking. A sound that stayed just a little longer than expected. A moment that felt familiar, even the first time you saw it. These are the parts that stay, not planned, not obvious, but quietly present. And over time, they begin to change how you remember the places you have been. Not as destinations, but as moments that continue beyond themselves. Because some journeys do not end when you leave. They simply move forward in a different way. Welcome to Austria. A land where mountains shape the horizon and time moves at the rhythm of nature. Medieval castles rise quietly from valleys, guarding stories carved into stone. Snow-capped peaks catch the first light of dawn, standing as silent witnesses of centuries past. Crystal-clear lakes mirror ancient forests, reflecting a landscape carefully preserved. Through this land flows the Danube, carrying trade, culture, and history across generations. Known as the land of music, Austria is where sound became legacy. Here, tradition and precision shape everyday life, from cities to quiet villages. This journey begins where history is heard, nature is felt, and time finds balance. Vienna stands at the heart of Austria, a city where centuries of history and the rhythm of modern daily life continue to exist side by side. Once the capital of a vast empire, Vienna still carries the elegance, order, and confidence shaped by its imperial past. Grand palaces such as Schönbrunn reveal the scale of Habsburg ambition, built not only to rule, but to impress and endure. At the city's center, St. Stephen's Cathedral rises above the streets, its colorful tiled roof becoming one of Vienna's most recognizable symbols. The streets of Vienna are wide, ordered, and deliberate, reflecting a city shaped by careful planning and a deep respect for structure. Cafes here are more than places to drink coffee. They are cultural institutions where conversation, reading, and reflection unfold slowly. Classical music flows naturally through Vienna, from concert halls to practice rooms, and sometimes even from open windows. In winter, snow softens the city's facades, while lights and markets bring warmth to public squares. Horse-drawn carriages still cross the streets today, preserving a slower rhythm from another era. Vienna is not only remembered through monuments and music, but lived every day through balance, routine, and tradition. West of Vienna, the Danube enters the Wachau Valley, where the river shapes one of Austria's most harmonious landscapes. Along its banks unfold vineyards, villages, and gentle hills that seem carefully placed rather than naturally formed. For centuries, this stretch of the Danube has served as a corridor for trade, belief, and cultural exchange. Terraced vineyards climb the slopes above the river, shaped by generations of human labor and patience. Medieval towns rest quietly along the riverbanks, preserving a rhythm untouched by modern haste. Castles and monasteries rise above the valley, reminding visitors of centuries of spiritual and political power. As seasons change, colors transform the valley into a landscape that feels constantly renewed. The river slows its pace here, gently encouraging travelers to do the same. Wine, fruit, and tradition define everyday life, rooted deeply in the land and its people. The Wachau Valley is not simply passed through, but experienced through time, taste, and landscape. Rising above the Danube on a rocky outcrop, Melk Abbey dominates the landscape long before the town itself comes into view. Founded over 9 centuries ago, this Benedictine abbey became one of the most important religious centers in Central Europe. Its Baroque architecture reflects not only spiritual devotion, but also the political power once held by the church. Inside, golden halls, frescoed ceilings, and vast corridors guide visitors through a world built to inspire awe. The Abbey's library houses thousands of manuscripts, preserving centuries of knowledge and scholarship. From its terraces, the Danube stretches below, linking Melk to the wider story of European history. For monks and rulers alike, this position offered both spiritual refuge and strategic advantage. Today, Melk Abbey stands as a symbol of harmony between faith, art, and authority. The surrounding town remains quiet and measured, shaped by the presence of the abbey above it. Melk is not only a monument of stone, but a chapter where religion, culture, and history converge. Cutting through the mountains of Lower Austria, the Semmering Railway marks a turning point in the history of engineering. Completed in 1854, it was the first true mountain railway in the world, built at a time when such an idea seemed impossible. Stone viaducts and tunnels carved directly into rock allowed trains to cross steep alpine terrain. Each curve of the railway reveals forests, valleys, and peaks unfolding in slow succession. The journey itself becomes an experience where movement and landscape merge into a single rhythm. For the Austro-Hungarian Empire, this railway was both a technological triumph and a symbol of ambition. Engineers balanced human ingenuity with respect for the natural landscape, rather than forcing domination. Today, trains still glide along the same route, carrying passengers through the past and the present at once. The slow pace allows travelers to observe details often lost to speed. Semmering is not just a railway, but a dialogue between human ambition and alpine nature. Graz, Austria's second-largest city, rises quietly between hills, carrying a character shaped by both history and youthful energy. Its historic center, recognized by UNESCO, reveals centuries of architectural evolution layered into one coherent space. Renaissance courtyards and Baroque facades speak of a city shaped by trade, learning, and culture. Above it all, the clock tower on Schlossberg Hill watches over the city as its most enduring symbol. From this height, rooftops, rivers, and streets form a living map of past and present. Graz is also a university city, where students bring movement and creativity to historic streets. Trams cross the city daily, connecting neighborhoods shaped by different eras. Here, tradition is not preserved behind glass, but lived openly in daily routines. Cafes, markets, and public squares create spaces where the city breathes slowly. Graz stands as a bridge between Austria's imperial past and its modern creative identity. Located in the heart of Austria's Salzkammergut region, Grundlsee is the largest lake in Styria, shaped by glaciers long before human settlement. Surrounded by forested mountains, the lake feels expansive, yet contained, defined by its natural basin, rather than dramatic extremes. Its waters are deep and cold year-round, known for their clarity and dark blue-green tones. Small lakeside villages coexist quietly along the shore, preserving a rhythm of life that feels unchanged over time. Boats move slowly across the surface, often the only sign of motion in an otherwise still landscape. The lake supports fishing traditions that remain an important part of local identity. Seasonal changes are subtle here, reflected more in light, mist, and color than in the landscape itself. Mountains rise directly from the water's edge, creating long reflections that stretch across the lake at dawn and dusk. Grundlsee offers space rather than spectacle, inviting calm observation instead of constant movement. It is a place where scale, silence, and continuity define the experience. Nestled between steep mountains and a narrow lakeshore, Hallstatt appears almost unreal in its symmetry. Wooden and stone houses rise vertically along the slope, stacked with precision and patience. The village reflects perfectly on the lake's surface, creating a mirror between land and water. A single narrow street forms the historic center, guiding visitors through centuries of daily life. Flowers spill from balconies, softening the stone and wood with seasonal color. Boats cross the lake slowly, offering ever-changing perspectives of the village. As evening falls, lights begin to glow, and reflections deepen into gold and blue. Despite its fame, Hallstatt remains a place shaped by routine rather than spectacle. Early mornings and quieter seasons reveal the village at its most authentic. Hallstatt is not just photographed, but experienced through stillness, scale, and time. Wolfgangsee lies quietly between steep alpine slopes, its waters forming one of Austria's most balanced natural settings. The lake stretches long and narrow, following the contours of the mountains that surround it. Its shoreline alternates between forests, small villages, and open alpine meadows. Clear waters allow reflections of clouds and peaks to shift constantly with the light. Boats move slowly across the surface, reinforcing the unhurried rhythm of the lake. Along the shore, villages maintain a scale that respects the surrounding landscape. In summer, swimmers and walkers share the space with long-standing local routines. In colder months, the lake becomes quieter, defined more by reflection than movement. Wolfgangsee invites presence rather than speed, asking visitors to observe rather than rush. It is a place where water, mountain, and human life exist in careful balance. Rising above the Salzkammergut Lakes, Schafberg offers one of the region's most expansive viewpoints. Its slopes climb steadily from forested foothills toward exposed alpine terrain. A historic cog railway ascends the mountain, connecting valley life with high-altitude silence. The slow journey upward allows the landscape to unfold gradually, with every meter gained. At the summit, multiple lakes appear simultaneously, framed by distant alpine ridges. Changing weather transforms visibility, sometimes revealing clarity, sometimes pure atmosphere. Walking paths around the peak offer quiet moments of observation rather than challenge. From this height, human presence feels small, but still connected to the landscape below. Sunrise and sunset redefine the mountain each day through light and shadow. Schafberg is not climbed for conquest, but for perspective. Rising from the calm waters of Traunsee, Ort Castle appears as a structure suspended between land and lake. Connected to the shore by a narrow wooden bridge, the castle has guarded this crossing for centuries. First mentioned in the 10th century, its walls reflect layers of medieval defense and noble residence. The lake surrounding the castle acts as both protection and reflection, amplifying its presence. From above, the geometry of stone and water creates a scene of rare balance. Over time, the castle shifted from military purpose to ceremonial and cultural use. Today, it serves as a place of gathering, often hosting events that echo quietly across the lake. The stillness of Traunsee allows the castle to dominate without excess. Light changes constantly, transforming the castle's stone from cool grey to warm gold. Ort Castle stands as a quiet reminder of how architecture and landscape can exist in harmony. Salzburg rises between alpine foothills and the Salzach River, shaped equally by music and stone. Known as the birthplace of Mozart, the city carries a musical legacy that still defines its rhythm. Baroque facades line the old town, their symmetry reflecting centuries of cultural confidence. Above it all, Hohensalzburg Fortress dominates the skyline, watching silently over the city below. Narrow streets guide visitors through courtyards, arches, and passages shaped by trade and faith. Iron shop signs swing gently above the streets, preserving a visual language from another era. Music festivals bring sound into squares and halls, blending performance with daily life. Gardens like Mirabelle soften the city with geometry, flowers, and controlled openness. The Salzach River reflects the city's walls, linking movement with permanence. Salzburg exists where music is not only remembered, but continuously lived. The Großglockner High Alpine Road winds upward through the heart of the Austrian Alps. Built as a passage rather than a shortcut, it prioritizes experience over speed. Each curve reveals glaciers, valleys, and peaks arranged in constant variation. The road climbs toward Austria's highest mountain, Großglockner, standing silently beyond view. Meadows appear briefly between rock and ice, softened by alpine flowers in summer. Wildlife occasionally emerges, reminding travelers of the land's original inhabitants. Lookouts and stops encourage observation, not haste. Weather conditions shift rapidly, changing the character of the journey with altitude. The road demonstrates how engineering can adapt to landscape without dominating it. Driving here is not about arrival, but about immersion in the alpine scale of Austria. Hohe Tauern National Park stretches across the Central Alps as Austria's largest protected natural area. Glaciers, valleys, and alpine peaks define a landscape shaped more by geology than by human presence. Rivers born from melting ice cut deep channels through stone over thousands of years. Alpine meadows appear briefly between forests and rock, change in color with the seasons. Wildlife survives here on its own terms, adapted to altitude, cold, and isolation. Trails allow access without dominance, guiding movement through fragile ecosystems. Weather shifts rapidly, turning calm skies into storms within moments. Silence often dominates, broken only by wind, water, or distant movement. Hohe Tauern represents nature preserved at scale, not curated for spectacle. It stands as a reminder of Austria's commitment to protecting what cannot be replaced. The Krimmel waterfalls descend from the Hohe Tauern Mountains as Europe's highest cascade. Dropping a total of 380 meters, the water crashes in 3 powerful stages. The sound of falling water dominates the valley, echoing against rock walls. Mist rises constantly, cooling the air and softening the surrounding forest. Well-built paths lead visitors upward, revealing new perspectives at each level. In early morning or late evening, light transforms the spray into shifting colors. Meltwater from glaciers feeds the falls, linking them directly to alpine ice above. The surrounding forest absorbs the sound, creating moments of calm between cascades. Krimmel is both force and rhythm, overwhelming yet carefully ordered by terrain. The waterfalls stand as one of Austria's most visceral expressions of natural power. Zell See rests quietly at the edge of its lake, where water and mountains meet in near-perfect balance. The town developed as a medieval settlement, its stone streets preserving centuries of movement and trade. Painted houses line the streets, adding color and rhythm to the alpine setting. The lake reflects surrounding peaks, changing character with weather and light. Churches and towers rise above rooftops, anchoring the town's historical identity. In summer, the lakeshore becomes a space for swimming, walking, and gathering. Winter transforms Zell See into a quieter, snow-covered environment. Nearby slopes connect the town to surrounding alpine terrain. Zell See exists at the intersection of everyday life and seasonal transformation. It is a place defined by continuity rather than spectacle. Kitzbühel sits among the Tyrolean Alps, combining medieval structure with alpine sophistication. Its origins trace back to mining and trade long before it became a global ski destination. Colorful facades line narrow streets, preserving a compact and walkable center. The surrounding mountains define the town's skyline in every direction. In winter, Kitzbühel becomes a focal point of international skiing culture. The famous Strife course tests athletes against gravity, ice, and speed. Outside winter, the town slows, revealing a quieter alpine rhythm. Walking paths and green hills replace snow, reshaping movement and sound. Kitzbühel balances elegance and endurance, tourism and tradition. It remains a place where alpine identity adapts without losing itself. Innsbruck lies deep within the Alps, where the city seems almost carved directly into the mountains. Surrounded by steep peaks, the city exists in constant dialogue with its natural environment. Innsbruck developed as a strategic crossroads linking northern and southern Europe. The medieval old town preserves narrow streets, arcades, and carefully maintained facades. At its center, the golden roof reflects sunlight, symbolizing imperial presence in the Alps. Imperial buildings coexist with everyday urban life, blending ceremony and routine. Mountains remain visible from nearly every street, shaping the city's sense of scale. Cable cars rise directly from the city, connecting urban space with alpine terrain within minutes. Innsbruck balances sport, culture, and daily life in a compact alpine setting. It stands as a city where mountains are not scenery, but structure. Bad Gastein clings dramatically to steep slopes, its buildings stacked vertically above a narrow alpine valley. A powerful waterfall cuts directly through the center, dividing the town with sound and motion. Discovered for its thermal springs, the town rose as a spa destination for European elites. Belle Epoque hotels still line the cliffs, facing open space and steep drops. Time has left marks here, creating contrasts between restored facades and abandoned structures. The vertical layout forces movement upward and downward rather than outward. Mist from the waterfall softens edges, blending architecture with moisture and air. At night, lights punctuate the darkness, emphasizing isolation rather than crowd. Bad Gastein feels suspended between decay and renewal. It remains one of Austria's most unusual expressions of alpine urban form. Deep within the Goso Valley, Goso Sea reflects the Dachstein peaks with remarkable clarity. The water remains cold and still, fed by glacial melt from the surrounding mountains. Forests encircle the lake, forming a natural frame that limits noise and movement. Wooden paths trace the shoreline, encouraging slow and deliberate walking. Reflections shift subtly as clouds pass across the mountain faces. Seasonal changes redefine the valley, from snow-covered silence to summer green. Human presence remains minimal, absorbed by scale rather than imposed upon it. The Dachstein Massif dominates the horizon, anchoring the valley visually and emotionally. Sound is reduced to wind, water, and distant movement. Gozo Sea embodies Austria's alpine calm at its most concentrated. Dürnstein sits quietly along a gentle curve of the Danube, wrapped by vineyards and stone walls. Above the village, the ruins of a medieval castle rise from the hill, marking centuries of power and conflict. These walls once held King Richard the Lionheart, tying the village to European legend. Below, the village unfolds in narrow streets and pastel houses shaped by river trade. Vineyards climb the surrounding hills, their geometry reflecting generations of cultivation. In autumn, the valley transforms into tones of gold, red, and deep green. The blue tower of the abbey stands out against the sky as a navigational landmark. Wine cellars open their doors, continuing a tradition rooted in land and climate. Life here follows the rhythm of the river rather than the calendar. Dürnstein endures as a place where legend, landscape, and everyday life converge. Linz stretches along the Danube as a city shaped by industry, innovation, and reinvention. Once defined by factories, the city has transformed into a center of culture and technology. The Danube remains the city's backbone, guiding commerce and daily movement. In the historic center, Baroque buildings coexist with modern urban design. The main square reflects Linz's role as a regional crossroads. Above the city, the cathedral rises with a scale that defines the skyline. Along the river, digital art installations illuminate nights with color and movement. Linz balances experimentation with memory, never fully abandoning either. The city feels forward-looking without denying its industrial roots. Linz represents Austria's capacity for change within continuity. In the far east of Austria, Burgenland unfolds as a landscape shaped by wind, water, and open horizons. Here, the Alps slowly dissolve into the Pannonian Plain, changing both climate and rhythm. Lake Neusiedl spreads shallow and wide, its surface constantly reshaped by wind. Reeds dominate the shoreline, forming one of Central Europe's most important wetland ecosystems. The flat terrain allows skies to become the main visual element. Vineyards thrive under long sunlight hours, producing wines distinct from alpine regions. Castles and manor houses reflect centuries of border tension and cultural exchange. Bird life flourishes here, making the region a key destination for migration routes. Life moves slower, guided by seasons rather than altitude. Burgenland reveals a lesser-known Austria, open, horizontal, and quietly resilient. Beyond Austria's grand cities, the South Styrian wine road appears as a gentle ribbon of countryside, where slopes, vines, and farm life set the pace. The route is often described as short but dense, stretching roughly 25.5 kilometers through some of the region's most concentrated vineyard hills. It runs close to the Slovenian border, and that borderland feeling shows up in accents, recipes, and the way villages cling to ridgelines. Vineyards drape the hillsides like layered fabric, and the pattern of rows creates a quiet geometry across the landscape. Roadside taverns, often family-run, serve what the land can offer immediately: cured meats, fresh bread, and seasonal produce. A signature detail is Styrian pumpkin seed oil, dark green and glossy, turning simple plates into something unmistakably regional. In the afternoon, shadows lengthen, and the hills look sculpted, as if the vineyards were carved rather than planted. The travel rhythm slows naturally. Stops are guided by viewpoints, not by distance, and the road becomes more of a sequence than a commute. From higher bends, valleys open below, showing how agriculture and settlement have grown together over long, patient time. During golden hour, rooftops warm up, vine leaves glow, and the road becomes a naturally cinematic set without any staging. What stands out is not spectacle, but continuity. Work repeated across seasons, and hospitality repeated across generations. As daylight fades, the wine road closes like a quiet epilogue, balanced, grounded, and unhurried. Achensee lies in Tyrol between steep slopes, with watercolors that shift from emerald to deep blue under alpine light. It is often called the largest lake in Tyrol, yet it feels intimate because mountains close in around the shoreline. The lake stretches roughly 9 kilometers from end to end, making long shoreline shots feel continuous and calm. Its surface covers roughly 6 8/10 square kilometers, a compact scale that still carries a powerful color signature. The maximum depth reaches roughly 133 meters, adding a dark, weighty tone beneath the bright surface. Early mornings turn the lake into a mirror, doubling the peaks and making the scene feel almost unreal. Wooden piers extend into the water, emphasizing stillness through straight lines and gentle ripples. When wind arrives, sails and boards appear, and the lake becomes active without losing its calm character. Trails rising from the shore suggest viewpoints earned through effort, with forest textures gradually replacing water reflections. In cloud shadow, Akensi shifts into a moodier teal, turning the same frame into a different emotional season. The lake's identity is carried by clarity, water, rock, sky, kept in balance for long, patient shots. The sequence closes in stillness as reflections soften and the shoreline quiet returns. Hohenwerfen Castle rises above the Salzach Valley as a stone statement of medieval strategy and geography. The fortress was built in the late 11th century, roughly between 1075 and 1078, during a time when power needed altitude. It stands on a rock pillar, rising roughly 155 meters above the valley floor, turning the cliff into a natural defense wall. The castle sits roughly 40 kilometers south of Salzburg, close enough for a day trip, yet distant enough to feel like a separate medieval world. Inside the gates, narrow corridors and heavy doors reveal priorities of defense, control, and enclosure rather than comfort. Elevated viewpoints open wide over the valley, showing why visibility mattered as much as walls. Falconry traditions link the fortress to older skills once used for communication, hunting, and status. Birds cut through the air in clean arcs, contrasting sharply with rigid stone lines and straight towers. In shaded rooms, light becomes scarce, and the architecture feels designed to narrow choices and guide movement. Under afternoon light, the fortress looks softer, and its silhouette shifts from threat to landmark. The strongest impression is contrast, wild cliffs, and careful masonry held together in the same frame. The final pull-away leaves the fortress still and unchanged, while the valley continues to move in light and weather. As the seasons complete their cycle, Austria settles into a moment where light softens and movement slows. Mountains absorb the final warmth of the sun, while valleys rest quietly beneath long shadows. Rivers continue their steady course, reflecting sky and memory rather than urgency. Villages prepare for evening routines, guided by habit, familiarity, and trust in repetition. In this hour, Austria feels complete, balanced between nature, history, and modern life. It is a country that does not rush to impress, but quietly rewards those who observe patiently. To travel through Austria is not to collect destinations, but to adjust rhythm and attention. Each landscape, each village, each quiet detail becomes part of a larger story, told without words. If this journey has resonated with you, consider taking a moment to support the stories that travel slowly. By leaving a like, sharing your thoughts in the comments, or subscribing for future journeys across our world. Your presence allows these landscapes, cultures, and moments to continue being explored and preserved. Until the next journey, let the rhythm of Austria linger a little longer with you. Thank you for traveling slowly with us.
Welcome to Poland. Located at the heart of Europe, Poland stands where ancient trade routes, rivers, and cultures have crossed for centuries. Though often seen as quiet, this land was shaped by immense geological forces, where plains were pressed flat by ice and mountains rose along the southern edge. Rivers such as the Vistula and the Oder carved natural corridors, guiding early settlements, trade, and the growth of medieval cities. From wooden villages to stone fortresses, each era left visible layers across the landscape, recording centuries of European history in silence. Over time, Slavic roots, Latin influences, and Eastern traditions blended here, shaping a culture defined by resilience and continuity. Repeatedly divided, invaded, and rebuilt, Poland learned how to endure, preserving identity even when borders disappeared from maps. Today, more than 38 million people call this land home, living between modern cities, open countryside, and ancient memory. Poland is not defined by a single image, but by the quiet strength that flows through its land, people, and time itself. And as this journey begins, each place will reveal a different chapter of a country shaped by survival. Our journey begins in Gdańsk, a city shaped by the sea and centuries of trade. Rising along the Baltic coast, its skyline reflects a past built on amber roots and maritime power. For centuries, merchants from across Europe arrived here, carrying goods, languages, and ideas. Brick facades along the long market stand as quiet witnesses to prosperity and conflict alike. In the 20th century, Gdansk became a spark point of modern history, where voices demanded freedom. Shipyards once echoed with labor, shaping both the city and the nation beyond it. Today, the old town has been carefully restored, balancing memory with renewal. Cafes and streets hum softly, carrying daily life through historic stone. The sea remains ever present, shaping weather, rhythm, and identity. In Gdansk, Poland opens its story to the world through water and wind. Stretching into the Baltic Sea, the Hel Peninsula feels like land slowly surrendering to water. Formed by shifting sands and coastal currents, its shape is constantly rewritten by nature. On one side, calm bays reflect the sky. On the other, open sea meets relentless wind. Fishing villages line the narrow strip, where life follows tides and seasons. For centuries, this peninsula served as both shelter and frontier. Its beaches appear endless, shaped more by wind than by human hands. The light here changes constantly, turning sand and water into moving textures. Nature dominates the horizon, reminding visitors of scale and impermanence. Hel feels less like a destination and more like a threshold. Here, Poland meets the Baltic in silence and space. Along the Baltic coast, Kołobrzeg emerged as a city shaped by salt, health, and the sea. For centuries, salt extraction and trade defined its economic heart. Later, Mineral springs turned the city into a renowned spa destination. Wide beaches stretch along the shore, offering openness rarely found in cities. The sea moderates the climate, shaping a slower rhythm of life. War left deep scars here, reshaping the city more than once. What stands today is a careful balance between healing and remembrance. Parks, promenades, and sea air define everyday life. Kołobrzeg breathes differently from inland Poland. It is a place where the sea quietly heals history. Świnoujście lies where land breaks apart into islands, and the Baltic enters the Oder estuary. Spread across dozens of islands, it is one of Europe's most unusual port cities. Water defines every direction, shaping transport, defense, and daily life. For centuries, Świnoujście guarded access between the sea and the interior of Europe. Fortresses and lighthouses still mark the coastline as silent sentinels. The beaches here are among the widest on the Baltic coast. Borders feel close, yet the city remains distinctly Polish in rhythm and life. Ships pass silently, connecting economies beyond the horizon. Świnoujście feels fluid, never fixed in one form. Here, Poland meets the sea through movement and passage. Inland from the coast, Szczecin rises along the wide bends of the Oder River. Though far from the open sea, it has always been shaped by maritime ambition. Wide boulevards and open squares reflect urban plans inspired by continental Europe. The river allowed Szczecin to grow as a trading gateway between regions. Shipyards, cranes, and docks line the horizon. War and border shifts reshaped the city's identity in the 20th century. What emerged is a city both reconstructed and forward-looking. Water remains central, threading through daily routines. Szczecin feels spacious, open, and quietly industrial. It is a city shaped by rivers more than walls. Rising above the Nogat River, Malbork Castle dominates the northern plains. Built entirely of brick, it is the largest castle of its kind in the world. In the Middle Ages, it served as the headquarters of the Teutonic Order. Thick walls and layered courtyards reflect a world shaped by defense and control. The castle functioned as both fortress and administrative center. Over time, empires fell, but the structure endured. Restoration revealed the scale and ambition of medieval power. The river below once supplied trade and defense. Stone and brick here speak without words. Malbork stands as a monument to endurance and authority. Torun rises quietly along the wide curve of the Vistula River, a medieval city preserved with rare continuity across centuries. Founded in the 13th century, its location along river trade routes allowed commerce and craftsmanship to flourish early. Brick Gothic architecture dominates the skyline, its disciplined forms reflecting the order and ambition of medieval Europe. The river once carried grain, timber, and ideas, linking Torun to the Baltic Sea and the wider continent. Torun is known as the birthplace of Nicholas Copernicus, whose ideas reshaped humanity's understanding of the cosmos. Science, faith, and daily life once coexisted within these narrow streets and fortified walls. Unlike many Polish cities, Torun avoided large-scale wartime destruction, preserving its original urban fabric. Today, everyday life flows gently through stone streets laid centuries ago. Time here feels layered, accumulated rather than erased. Torun stands as one of Europe's most complete surviving medieval cities. Bydgoszcz is shaped by water, where rivers and canals quietly define the city's structure and rhythm. The Brda River flows steadily through the city, anchoring its past and present. During the industrial age, warehouses and factories lined these waterways. Canals linked river systems, turning Bydgoszcz into a strategic inland port. As industries declined, the city began reimagining its relationship with water. Former industrial spaces transformed into cultural and creative venues. Bridges repeat across the city, creating a visual rhythm above the water. Water moderates the climate, softening both sound and movement. Bydgoszcz feels fluid, adaptive, and quietly modern. It is a city continuously reshaped by flowing water. In northeastern Poland, the Masurian Lake District unfolds as one of Europe's largest connected lake systems. Formed by retreating glaciers thousands of years ago, the terrain remains gentle and expansive. More than 2,000 lakes reflect forests, clouds, and changing skies. Narrow waterways link villages, fields, and silence. Human presence remains light, allowing nature to dominate the horizon. Forests surround the lakes, absorbing sound and motion. Seasonal changes transform the same waters into entirely different worlds. Masuria invites stillness rather than spectacle. Here, time seems to slow, guided by wind and water. Masuria remains one of Poland's quiet, natural heartlands. Warsaw stands at the center of Poland, not just geographically, but historically and symbolically. Almost completely destroyed during World War II, the city was rebuilt stone by stone from memory and determination. The reconstructed Old Town reflects not imitation, but a collective act of survival. Situated along the Vistula River, Warsaw grew as a political and economic axis. Today, over 1.8 million people live here, shaping the country's largest urban center. Modern architecture rises beside reconstructed heritage, forming visible layers of time. Government, culture, and daily life intersect across wide avenues and riverbanks. Warsaw moves quickly, yet carries deep historical weight beneath its surface. The city embodies Poland's ability to rebuild without forgetting. In Warsaw, the past and present stand side by side, unresolved yet alive. Poznan lies between Poland's major regions, long serving as a bridge rather than a boundary. As one of the oldest cities in the country, it played a central role in the formation of the Polish state. Its location along trade routes allowed commerce to thrive early. The old market square remains the city's social and cultural heart. Merchant houses reflect centuries of prosperity and adaptation. Industry later shaped Poznan's economy, adding new layers to its identity. Today, the city balances tradition with efficiency and innovation. Students, entrepreneurs, and families shape everyday rhythms. Poznan feels practical, grounded, and quietly confident. It is a city built on continuity rather than spectacle. Wrocław unfolds across islands and bridges, shaped by the branching arms of the Oder River. For centuries, water dictated the city's layout, movement, and defenses. Once part of shifting empires, Wrocław carries layers of Central European history. Gothic churches, Renaissance halls, and Baroque details coexist within a compact urban core. War left deep scars, reshaping the city's population and identity. Post-war reconstruction blended restoration with modern planning. Today, Wrocław thrives as a cultural and academic center. Public squares and riverbanks host daily life rather than spectacle. The city feels playful yet grounded, shaped by water and memory. Wrocław stands as a bridge between histories, cultures, and rivers. Katowice stands at the heart of Silesia, a region forged by industry and labor. Coal and steel once powered the city's rapid growth in the 19th and 20th centuries. Industrial complexes shaped not only the skyline, but social structure. As resources declined, Katowice faced the challenge of reinvention. Former mines transformed into cultural and public spaces. Music, art, and design now occupy the industrial core. The city reflects Poland's broader shift from extraction to innovation. Despite transformation, traces of labor history remain visible. Katowice feels grounded, resilient, and forward-looking. It stands as a symbol of adaptation in modern Poland. Kraków stands as Poland's former royal capital, shaped by continuity rather than constant reinvention. For centuries, political authority, culture, and scholarship converged here. Unlike many cities, Kraków escaped widespread wartime destruction. This preservation allowed medieval and Renaissance layers to remain intact. Trade routes and royal patronage sustained prosperity across eras. Streets follow measured proportions, shaped by ritual and repetition. Public squares function as places of gathering, not spectacle. Academic life continues alongside tradition. History here feels present, layered into daily movement. Krakow remains a living archive of Polish identity. Auschwitz-Birkenau exists not as a destination, but as a place where history demands to be remembered. Built by Nazi Germany during World War II, it became the largest concentration and extermination camp in occupied Europe. More than 1 million people were murdered here, most of them Jewish. The scale of Birkenau reveals how industrial systems were turned toward destruction. Barracks, watchtowers, and railway lines remain as silent evidence. Personal belongings recovered here speak louder than words. Visiting Auschwitz is not about understanding everything, but acknowledging the weight of loss. Silence dominates the landscape, broken only by wind and footsteps. Memory here resists distance and abstraction. Auschwitz-Birkenau remains a permanent warning written into the land itself. Beneath the surface of southern Poland, Wieliczka opens into a world carved from salt and time. Salt has been extracted here continuously since the 13th century. Over centuries, miners carved chambers, corridors, and chapels deep underground. The mine extends more than 300 kilometers in tunnels across multiple levels. Salt sculptures and reliefs reflect both labor and devotion. The underground chapels demonstrate how belief followed workers below the surface. Air and light behave differently here, shaping a distinct sensory world. What began as an industrial site became a cultural and spiritual space. The mine tells a story of adaptation beneath the ground. Wieliczka remains one of Poland's most extraordinary underground landscapes. Tarnów lies quietly in southeastern Poland, a city often passed by. yet carrying layers of history compressed into a modest scale. Founded in the Middle Ages, its growth followed trade routes linking Lesser Poland with the Carpathian foothills. Renaissance architecture defines its historic core, revealing a period of prosperity and cultural openness. Before the 20th century, Tarnów was home to a diverse population, where Polish and Jewish communities shaped daily life together. This fragile balance was violently broken during World War II. Deportations, executions, and destruction left scars that reshaped the city's demographic and memory. Unlike larger cities, Tarnów rebuilt without spectacle, preserving much of its architectural fabric. Today, life unfolds at a measured pace, where markets, cafes, and streets carry quiet continuity. Tarnów feels intimate, grounded, and reflective, shaped by what remains rather than what was lost. It stands as a quiet reminder that history does not only live in capitals, but in smaller cities that endured without noise. Along Poland's southern edge, the Pieniny Mountains rise not in height, but in sharpness and contrast. Formed by limestone and shaped by erosion, these mountains carry the imprint of ancient seas. The Dunajec River cuts through the range, carving one of Central Europe's most dramatic gorges. For centuries, rafts carried timber and people through these narrow passages. Steep cliffs rise suddenly from the riverbanks, compressing space and sound. Human presence remains light, guided by terrain rather than control. Seasonal changes transform water, color, and scale. Paths along the ridges reveal wide views over forested valleys. Pieniny feels precise rather than vast, shaped by incision instead of elevation. It remains one of Poland's most visually concentrated landscapes. The Tatra Mountains rise as Poland's highest range, forming a natural boundary along the southern frontier. These peaks belong to the Carpathians, shaped by tectonic uplift and glacial carving. Sharp ridgelines and alpine valleys define a landscape of scale and exposure. Snow and ice sculpted the terrain over thousands of years. The climate here shifts rapidly, demanding adaptation from all forms of life. Alpine meadows and dense forests alternate with bare rock. Human settlement remains limited, concentrated at lower elevations. Trails follow ancient paths shaped by geography rather than design. Silence here feels vast, interrupted only by wind and water. The Tatras remain a defining symbol of Poland's natural extremes. Lublin stands at the cultural crossroads of eastern Poland, shaped by encounter rather than dominance. For centuries, it connected Western Europe with the East. Merchants, scholars, and faiths passed through its streets. The city played a key role in political unions and agreements. Architecture reflects layers of Gothic, Renaissance, and Baroque influence. Jewish culture once formed a major part of Lublin's identity. War and occupation shattered this diversity. Post-war Lublin rebuilt with education and culture at its core. Today, students and artists animate its historic spaces. Lublin remains a city defined by connection and memory. Rzeszów lies in southeastern Poland, a city long shaped by movement rather than monumentality. Positioned near the foothills of the Carpathians, it historically served as a regional crossroads. Trade, migration, and administration shaped its early development. Unlike Poland's older royal cities, Rzeszów expanded gradually. The 20th century accelerated this growth through industry and infrastructure. War and political shifts altered its population and rhythm. In recent decades, education and technology reshaped the city's identity. Public spaces now host everyday life rather than ceremony. Rzeszów feels practical, adaptive, and forward-facing. It stands as a modern hinge between tradition and motion. Gdynia rises along the Baltic coast as one of Poland's youngest major cities. A place born not from medieval roots, but from deliberate national ambition. In the early 20th century, Poland sought direct access to the sea, and Gdynia became its answer. The port reshaped the country's economic geography, linking inland regions to global trade routes. Functionalist architecture emerged quickly, prioritizing efficiency, light, and openness. Unlike historic cities shaped by centuries of layering, Gdynia expanded almost at once. The city's rhythm follows the tides, ship schedules, and wind patterns. Maritime identity permeates daily life, from work to recreation. Public spaces stretch openly toward the water. Gdynia feels pragmatic, forward-looking, and unburdened by nostalgia. It stands as Poland's modern maritime gateway to the Baltic. Sopot unfolds along the Baltic coast, where the city meets the sea in a gentle, uninterrupted line of light and movement. Resorts rise softly behind the shore, shaped for rest rather than spectacle. From above, the wooden pier stretches far into the water, becoming both a symbol and a meeting place. Sea air moves constantly through the city, carrying salt, sound, and rhythm. Historic spa buildings recall a time when visitors came seeking health and renewal. The city shifts with the seasons, vibrant in summer, restrained and quiet in winter. Villas and streets blend resort elegance with everyday coastal life. Along the promenade, social life unfolds slowly, shaped by walking, conversation, and pause. Movement slows near the shore, where walking becomes a way of staying rather than passing through. From above, Sopot feels open and light, defined by water, space, and ease. The Elbląg Canal cuts quietly through northern Poland, shaped by terrain that demanded adaptation rather than domination. Built in the 19th century, it solved dramatic elevation changes across wetlands and hills. Boats here travel slowly along water before being lifted onto land. Mechanical ramps carry vessels across grassy slopes on steel rails. Forests and wetlands surround the canal, softening its engineered form. The canal blends engineering with landscape rather than interrupting it. Movement here feels deliberate, measured, and patient. Time stretches along the waterway. The canal tells a story of problem-solving through restraint. Elbląg Canal remains one of Europe's most unusual and revealing waterways. Olsztyn sits among lakes and forests. where urban life meets water at close distance. As the capital of Warmia Masuria, it anchors a region defined by water. Medieval origins shaped the city's early form and layout. Lakes and rivers guided expansion rather than walls or grids. Water enters the urban fabric directly. Education and science became pillars of modern identity. Daily life unfolds between stone architecture and green space. Movement slows near the water. Olsztyn feels balanced, grounded, and accessible. It represents urban life shaped by lakes rather than roads. Gliwice stands in Upper Silesia as a city shaped by knowledge, industry, and continuity. Its roots reach back before heavy industrialization. Later, factories and railways expanded its scale. Technical education became central to its development. Architecture reveals layered eras rather than a single style. Unlike extractive cities, Gliwice diversified early. Public spaces softened industrial density. Daily life feels measured rather than rushed. History remains visible without dominating the present. Gliwice closes the journey with balance and continuity. Zakopane stands at the southern edge of Poland. Zakopane stands at the southern edge of Poland, where the land begins to rise toward the Tatra Mountains. This mountain town has long served as a cultural gateway between highland life and the rest of the country. Traditional wooden houses define the Zakopane style, inspired by local craftsmanship and alpine conditions. At an elevation of over 800 meters, the air feels sharper, clearer, and distinctly alpine. Krupovki Street becomes the town's heartbeat, where daily life and tourism intersect. Cable cars lift visitors above rooftops, revealing the vast geometry of the Tatra range. Seasonal contrast defines Zakopane, from green summers to heavy winter snow. Highland traditions remain visible in clothing, music, and daily rituals. The town balances modern tourism with a strong sense of regional identity. Zakopane is not only a destination, but a living Lazienki Park is a royal landscape hidden within modern Warsaw. Designed in the 18th century, it reflects Enlightenment ideals of harmony with nature. The palace on the Isle floats quietly on water, mirroring classical symmetry. Covering over 70 hectares, the park acts as Warsaw's green lungs. Peacocks wander freely, blurring lines between curated space and wilderness. Locals use the park as a place of pause rather than spectacle. Chopin's music echoes here, reconnecting sound with place. Each season redraws the park's colors and rhythms. Lazienki reveals how culture and landscape can coexist. It remains a quiet counterpoint to the city beyond its gates. Suwashowa unfolds as one of Europe's longest linear villages, stretching quietly along a single valley road. Each home aligns precisely with a narrow strip of land extending far into cultivated fields. This settlement pattern dates back centuries, shaped by medieval land division and agricultural necessity. Rather than expanding outward, Suwashowa grew line by line, family by family. From above, the village resembles a living diagram of rural planning. Farming remains central, with seasonal cycles dictating daily routines. Modern tools appear, yet the rhythm of life remains slow and predictable. Neighbors remain visually and socially connected through this shared geography. Suwashowa demonstrates how geography directly shapes social structure. Here, land is not background, but the framework of everyday life. Kazimierz Dolny rests along the banks of the Vistula River, where water once carried grain, wealth, and ideas. Its rise began in the Renaissance, fueled by river trade and merchant networks. Limestone townhouses reflect both prosperity and refined architectural taste. As trade declined, the town avoided industrial transformation. This pause allowed Kazimierz Dolny to preserve its historic scale and intimacy. Artists and writers later rediscovered the town as a place of retreat. Hills and ravines carve natural borders around the settlement. Light interacts strongly with stone, changing the town's mood by hour. History here feels lived in rather than monumental. Kazimierz Dolny remains shaped by continuity rather than reinvention. Książ Castle rises above the forested hills of Lower Silesia, its massive silhouette emerging slowly from layers of mist and time. Strategically positioned on high ground, the castle controlled trade routes and regional power for centuries. First constructed in the 13th century, Xiong expanded repeatedly as dynasties rose, fell, and reshaped its walls. Its architecture blends Gothic foundations, Baroque grandeur, and later structural reinforcements. By volume, Xiong stands as the third largest castle in Poland, reflecting both ambition and authority. During World War II, the castle was absorbed into secret underground construction projects linked to Nazi operations. Hidden tunnels beneath the castle hint at plans that were never fully revealed or completed. After the war, damage and neglect left scars that still shape the castle's atmosphere today. Restoration efforts preserve both the castle's elegance and its unresolved past. Xiong Castle stands not as a conclusion, but as a living structure shaped by power, conflict, and memory. Poland reveals itself not through a single image, but through layers of land, memory, and movement. From medieval cities and royal capitals to mountains, lakes, and open coastlines, each place carries a different rhythm. Geography shaped how people settled, traded, believed, and endured. Borders shifted, cities fell and rose again, yet continuity remained. Poland's landscapes hold the imprint of glaciers, rivers, forests, and human hands. History here is not confined to museums, but woven into streets, fields, and everyday life. Moments of tragedy coexist with resilience, shaping a quiet national character. Across regions, cultures met, merged, and left traces rather than absolutes. Time in Poland feels layered, not linear. The land remembers, even when voices fade. What remains is not spectacle, but presence. Poland invites not quick consumption, but slow understanding. Each journey here continues beyond the frame. And as this journey ends, the land remains, patient, resilient, and unfinished. This is Poland.
Travel today feels different than it once did. Distances are easier to cross, and the world feels closer than ever. But how a place is experienced still depends on how you choose to move through it. In the heart of Europe, one country continues to draw people back: Switzerland. place where movement feels precise but never rushed. You feel it the moment you arrive. Trains glide through valleys with quiet confidence. Lakes reflect the sky. Mountains shape the horizon. Cities stay organized, yet rarely feel overwhelming. Nature is never far away. You experience Switzerland through movement. Railways connect villages, towns, and global cities. Streets stay calm, even at the center. And daily life moves at a considered pace. This is not a journey defined by landmarks alone. It is a journey shaped by rhythm, balance, and intention. Have you been here before? If you have, what stayed with you the most? And if you haven't, what are you hoping to discover most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your journey into Switzerland begins here. Before the journey reaches any city, it helps to understand the country itself. Switzerland is a small country at the heart of Europe, yet its influence reaches far beyond its borders. Home to fewer than 9 million people, Switzerland is divided into cantons rather than regions, each with strong local identity. Four national languages are spoken here, sometimes within just a few hours of travel. Mountains cover more than half of the country, shaping not only the landscape, but daily life itself. The Alps are not just a symbol, but a presence that influences weather, transport, and settlement patterns. Switzerland shares borders with 5 countries, yet has chosen a path of neutrality for centuries. This long-standing neutrality has shaped how the country sees stability, security, and independence. Often associated with precision, order, and efficiency, Switzerland raises an important question early on. What does a highly organized society feel like when lived from the inside? Here, infrastructure is designed to disappear into the landscape rather than dominate it. Railways connect mountains, lakes, villages, and cities with remarkable consistency. But progress in Switzerland rarely announces itself loudly. It unfolds through planning, patience, and long-term thinking. Tourism plays a major role in the economy, drawing tens of millions of visitors each year. At the same time, questions around preservation, capacity, and sustainability grow louder. Glaciers are retreating, seasons are shifting, and change is becoming visible even here. So how does a country built on balance respond when that balance is challenged? Switzerland's answer is rarely dramatic, but it is deliberate. Innovation moves forward, while tradition remains visible and relevant. This is not a country that rushes to impress. It invites you to slow down and observe how systems, people, and landscapes coexist. Before stepping into the cities, the mountains, or the lakes, one question remains. How do you explore a country that seems to have already mastered its rhythm? Your journey through Switzerland begins in Zurich, the country's largest city, and the place where many travelers first arrive, often without realizing how much of the nation's character is already present here. With a population of around 430,000 people, Zurich is not the capital, yet it quietly operates as the economic and financial heart of the country. Consistently ranked among the world's most livable cities, Zurich invites you early on to consider what quality of life actually feels like when lived day by day. As you begin to move through the city, one thing becomes clear almost immediately. Nothing here feels rushed, even when everything works efficiently. You start in the Old Town, known as Altstadt, where Zurich's history unfolds slowly along both sides of the Limmat River. Narrow streets, medieval buildings, and church towers quietly carry stories layered over more than 2,000 years. Long before Zurich became a modern financial center, it existed as a Roman settlement, shaped by its position along early trade routes. As you walk uphill through the old streets, the city gradually opens beneath your feet, revealing rooftops, river bends, and quiet corners. From Lindenhof Hill, one of the city's oldest viewpoints, Zurich reveals itself in layers, from the old town to distant neighborhoods beyond. From this height, the city feels calm and ordered, yet unexpectedly intimate, as if designed to be lived in rather than passed through. Just a short walk away, Lake Zurich begins to shape the rhythm of daily life, softening the edges of the city. Stretching nearly 40 kilometers, the lake is not simply scenery, but a shared public space woven into everyday routines. Locals swim, picnic, and pause here, especially during the warmer months, turning leisure into part of the city's identity. From the lakeside, trams quietly carry you back toward the city center, blending seamlessly into daily routines. Zurich's public transport system is known worldwide for its precision and reliability, shaping how people plan their days with confidence. Movement here feels efficient, without ever becoming stressful, allowing the city to breathe. In neighborhoods like Zurich West, former industrial spaces are gradually reshaped by creativity and new ideas. Cafes become workspaces, galleries share streets with restaurants, and daily life blends work, art, and leisure. Zurich never tries to impress loudly, choosing instead to let its details speak over time. And as you move through the city slowly, one final question begins to surface. Zurich was originally founded as what? A. A medieval trading town. B. A Roman settlement. C. A mountain village. D. A financial center. Share your answer in the comments below. Next, we move deeper into Switzerland. Leaving Zurich behind, your journey brings you to Lucerne, where the city slowly gives way to water and mountains. Set along the shores of Lake Lucerne, the city feels calmer, more open, and closely tied to its surroundings. With a population of just over 80,000 people, Lucerne feels intimate, yet deeply connected to the rest of Switzerland. For centuries, this city has stood at a natural crossroads between Northern Europe and the Alpine world beyond. Your exploration begins in the Old Town, where painted facades and narrow streets slow your pace almost instinctively. Buildings here have stood for hundreds of years, yet daily life continues quietly within their walls. At the heart of the city stands the Chapel Bridge, one of the oldest wooden bridges in Europe. Built in the 14th century, it once served as both a crossing and a line of defense. Walking across it today feels less like sightseeing and more like moving through memory. Nearby, the water tower rises from the river, a reminder of Lucerne's medieval roots. Just beyond the old streets, Lake Lucerne opens wide, framed by steep hills and distant peaks. The lake's shape is complex, stretching into narrow arms that disappear deep into the mountains. Ferries glide slowly across the water, connecting towns that feel both remote and close at the same time. From the lakeside, the presence of the mountains becomes impossible to ignore. Mount Pilatus rises sharply nearby, shaping the city's skyline and its stories. For generations, legends have surrounded this mountain, blending myth, faith, and landscape. Today, cable cars and railways carry people upward, offering views that stretch far beyond Lucerne itself. Yet despite its beauty and history, Lucerne never feels overwhelming. Life here moves at a pace shaped by water, mountains, and time. What does it mean to live between a lake and the mountains? In Lucerne, the answer is found in how the city listens to its surroundings. It adapts rather than competes, allowing nature to remain close. And in doing so, it creates a way of life shaped as much by place as by people. From here, the journey continues toward the deeper heart of the Alps. As your journey moves deeper into the Alps, you begin to notice the land changing around you, and Interlaken slowly comes into view. You arrive in a town, located at an elevation of around 560 meters above sea level, resting quietly in a wide alpine valley. Interlaken sits between Lake Thun to the west and Lake Brienz to the east, with just under 4 kilometers of land connecting the two. Lake Thun stretches for roughly 17.5 kilometers, while Lake Brienz extends for about 14 kilometers. Standing here, you begin to feel how water defines the rhythm of this place. With a population of just over 6,000 people, the town feels small against the vastness surrounding it. And then you look up. Peaks like the Eiger rise to around 3,967 meters, dominating the skyline above you. Nearby, the Jungfrau reaches over 4,100 meters, marking one of the highest points in the region. These mountains are part of the Bernese Alps, a range that has shaped this landscape for millions of years. Long before you arrived, glaciers carved valleys, rivers formed routes, and movement followed the land. Interlaken began as a natural stopping point along these routes, shaped more by geography than design. Today, it remains a gateway, because nearly every direction from here leads higher into the Alps. Trains and mountain railways connect you to peaks, glaciers, and valleys spread across the region. Despite all this movement, the town itself remains calm, grounded by its surroundings. You notice how adventure exists here, without needing to announce itself. What does it mean to stand in a place shaped almost entirely by geography? In Interlaken, the answer feels clear. You adapt to the land, not the other way around. The scale teaches you humility, and the stillness teaches you patience. Here, the journey stops feeling planned and begins to feel instinctive. From Interlaken, the journey begins to change direction, no longer stretching outward, but climbing steadily upward. You board a mountain railway, watching the valley slowly fall away beneath you. Forests thin out, slopes steepen, and the air around you grows noticeably colder. Each section of track feels like a quiet negotiation between engineering and terrain. You are heading toward Jungfraujoch, a high mountain saddle resting at an altitude of 3,454 meters above sea level. Long before you reach the top, the scale of the journey begins to register in your body. Breathing feels heavier, movement becomes more deliberate, and time slows down. This railway, carved directly through solid rock, took more than 16 years to complete. It was built not to conquer the mountain, but to understand it. As the train climbs higher, snow begins to replace grass outside your window. And somewhere along the ascent, a question quietly forms. Why do people build railways, stations, and observatories at heights where the land resists them? Jungfraujoch is the highest railway station in Europe, standing where rock, ice, and ambition meet. When you step outside, the answer doesn't arrive as words, but as scale. Snow and ice stretch in every direction, forming the Aletsch Glacier below you. At roughly 23 kilometers long, it is the largest glacier in the Alps. Around you rise peaks like Jungfrau, Mönch, and Eiger, each reaching beyond 4,000 meters. These mountains are part of the Bernese Alps, shaped over millions of years by pressure and ice. At this height, distance feels compressed and perspective shifts. You begin to understand how small human movement becomes in a landscape like this. Jungfraujoch is also home to one of the highest scientific research stations in Europe. Here, scientists study weather systems, glacier movement, and long-term climate patterns. But even without instruments, your body already knows the answer. This place exists because curiosity outlasted comfort. People came here not to dominate the land, but to listen to it more closely. As you prepare to descend, the scale of the world slowly returns. Valleys reappear, forests thicken, and color returns to the land. But the question you asked near the top stays with you. Because once you've seen the world from this height, you carry that perspective forward. After the extreme height of Jungfraujoch, the journey carries you back down into the valley, but the sense of movement never really fades. You arrive in Grindelwald, a mountain village resting at around 1,034 meters above sea level, where the land immediately feels closer and more present. Surrounded by steep cliffs and wide alpine meadows, the village feels open to the sky, yet protected by the walls of stone rising around it. Grindelwald sits beneath the north face of the Eiger, a sheer wall of rock that rises nearly 1,800 meters above the valley floor. Even when you stand still, the verticality of the landscape makes itself known through your posture and balance. From the village, cable cars begin lifting you toward First, a high ridge sitting at around 2,168 meters above sea level. As the ground slowly drops away beneath you, distance starts to be measured less by kilometers and more by vertical change. Somewhere during the ascent, your body adjusts quietly, responding to height before your thoughts catch up. What happens when your body becomes the instrument that measures the land beneath your feet? At first, the answer does not arrive as an explanation, but as a physical sensation that settles into your muscles and breath. You step onto a narrow ridge where the land drops sharply away on both sides, demanding your full attention. The elevation difference beneath your feet reaches hundreds of meters, and your sense of balance sharpens almost instinctively. Trails here follow the natural contours of the mountain, guiding your steps rather than forcing a path. Each step requires awareness, turning simple movement into a continuous act of attention. From this height, surrounding peaks feel closer, not because they have moved, but because nothing blocks your view anymore. Far below, the valley of Grindelwald lies stretched out, its familiar scale now completely transformed. Glaciers once flowed through these slopes, carving the terrain that now supports your steps. Their retreat has left behind sharp edges, exposed rock, and a landscape still adjusting to change. Activities here pull your body fully into the experience, asking you to walk, balance, and breathe with intention. The famous cliff walk stretches roughly 40 meters along a sheer rock face, suspended high above the valley. As you step onto it, the land seems to disappear beneath you, leaving only air and focus. Fear sharpens your senses, and that sharpness pulls you fully into the present moment. This place asks you to feel the landscape through your body, not just observe it from a distance. Slowly, the question you asked earlier begins to answer itself without words. When your body engages directly with the land, the journey becomes tangible and real. Height is no longer an abstract number on a map, but a sensation carried in your muscles and breath. From here, Switzerland feels rugged, precise, and intensely alive. As you descend again, your body slowly relaxes, but the awareness remains. The land leaves its mark, not through explanation, but through sensation. And the journey continues, now shaped as much by your body as by the map you follow. The journey shifts again, guiding you away from exposed ridgelines and into a place where the land drops sharply and sound begins to change. You enter the Lauterbrunnen Valley, a narrow alpine corridor carved directly into limestone over immense spans of time. The valley stretches for roughly 2 kilometers, yet feels far longer because of how abruptly the cliffs rise on both sides. Limestone walls tower nearly 300 meters above the valley floor, enclosing the space like a natural amphitheater. As you step deeper into the valley, the first thing you notice is not the view, but the sound. Wind fades into the background, replaced by the constant presence of falling water. Lauterbrunnen is often called the Valley of 72 Waterfalls, and standing here, the name begins to make sense. Thin streams spill freely from the cliff edges, some visible only as pale lines traced against dark stone. Others fall with force, cutting sound and motion directly into the still air. Early in the walk, a question quietly begins to surface. What happens when the land pulls your attention downward instead of lifting your eyes upward. In Lauterbrunnen, the answer arrives through gravity, repetition, and sound. The most famous waterfall here, Staubach Falls, drops from nearly 300 meters above the valley floor. On windy days, the falling water never reaches the ground in one line, dissolving into mist long before it lands. Across the valley, the Trümmelbach Falls disappear entirely inside the mountain itself. Fed by glacial meltwater from peaks above, these underground falls move thousands of liters of water every second. Standing inside the mountain, you feel vibration through your body before sound reaches your ears. The village of Lauterbrunnen itself rests quietly on the valley floor, home to fewer than 300 residents. Daily life unfolds beneath cliffs that have watched glaciers advance and retreat for thousands of years. Paths through the valley remain flat and gentle, inviting you to walk slowly rather than rush forward. Each step keeps you close to the ground, to water, and to the echoes around you. Here, the body no longer measures height, but weight, direction, and presence. The valley reveals that scale is not only vertical. Depth carries its own power, shaping how you move and how you listen. Slowly, the question you asked earlier begins to answer itself. When the land draws you downward, attention follows, and stillness becomes unavoidable. In Lauterbrunnen, the journey grows quieter, heavier, and more inward. Water continues to fall, indifferent to how long you stand and watch. And as you leave the valley, you carry a different sense of scale with you. There are places where the landscape feels composed, almost deliberate, as if every line has been drawn with intention. You step into Zermatt, a mountain village resting at around 1,620 meters above sea level. The village sits at the very end of the valley, where roads stop and movement changes character. There are no private cars here, only electric vehicles, bicycles, and footsteps. Without engines, sound softens, and space feels wider. As you walk through the village, wooden chalets line the streets, grounded and unchanged by passing trends. Life here moves slowly, shaped by seasons rather than schedules. Early on, a quiet question begins to form. Why does this place feel so focused, as if everything is oriented toward a single point? You don't have to look far for the answer. Rising above the village is the Matterhorn, its near-perfect pyramid shape cutting cleanly into the sky. At around 4,478 meters high, it stands as one of the most recognizable mountains in the world. Unlike many peaks, Matterhorn is visible from almost every corner of Zermatt. Wherever you stand, the mountain seems to be watching back. Long before Zermatt became a destination, this mountain shaped the identity of the valley. The first successful ascent in the mid-19th century marked a turning point in the history of mountaineering. But the mountain has never felt conquered. Even today, climbers approach it with caution, respect, and restraint. Cable cars and mountain railways lift you toward higher viewpoints, offering perspective without removing distance. From above, Zermatt appears small, precise, and carefully placed. The surrounding peaks form a ring, enclosing the village in stone and ice. Here, scale becomes impossible to ignore. What does it mean to live in the presence of something this dominant? In Zermatt, the answer is balance, not control. The village adapts its movement, sound, and pace to the mountain above it. Nature sets the presence, and people learn how to stay. Over time, the mountain becomes less of a landmark and more of a reference point. It defines direction, identity, and restraint. As you move through Zermatt, you realize the village does not compete with its symbol. It simply lives beneath it. After days of moving through high mountains and dramatic alpine scale, the journey subtly shifts direction, guiding you toward a quieter part of Switzerland. Not higher, not more extreme, but closer to everyday life and human scale. You arrive in Appenzell, a small town in northeastern Switzerland, located at around 780 meters above sea level. With a population of just over 7,000 people, the town immediately feels intimate, almost personal, rather than touristic. As you step into the center, you notice how distances feel short, and everything unfolds at walking speed. Colorfully painted houses line the streets, many of them dating back hundreds of years, yet still actively lived in today. Unlike many historic towns, These buildings face the street openly, without fences or barriers separating public and private space. As you walk, eye contact happens naturally, and short conversations feel unforced. Cafes extend outward onto the street, and no signs seem to tell you when to hurry or move on. This town belongs to Appenzell-Innerrhoden, one of the smallest cantons in Switzerland, both in area and population. Here, traditions are not preserved as performances for visitors, but practiced as part of daily life. Once every year, residents gather in the main square for the Landsgemeinde, an open-air assembly that dates back several centuries. Decisions are made publicly, with hands raised, and every vote is visible to everyone present. Standing there, you begin to feel how close decision-making becomes when distance disappears. What does freedom feel like when it happens face-to-face, without screens or intermediaries? In Appenzell, the answer feels shared, grounded, and surprisingly calm. Beyond the town center, the landscape softens into rolling hills rather than sharp alpine peaks. Walking paths here prioritize continuity and repetition, not challenge or conquest. You stop measuring distance in kilometers and begin measuring it in time and attention. Food culture follows the same rhythm, rewarding patience over speed. Appenzeller cheese, aged using a closely guarded recipe for several months, reflects this approach perfectly. As the afternoon unfolds, you notice that nothing here is trying to compete for attention. Appenzell does not try to be iconic, it simply remains consistent. For the first time in the journey, you stop checking where you are on the map. Presence replaces progress as the main measure of movement. When you finally leave, the road feels quieter, slower, and more grounded beneath you. That shift stays with you, subtly reshaping how you continue to move through Switzerland. After walking through streets shaped by centuries, the landscape begins to widen, and the sense of enclosure slowly fades. You arrive at Lake Geneva, one of the largest lakes in Western Europe, stretching calmly between mountains and sky. The lake covers an area of roughly 580 square kilometers, forming a natural border between Switzerland and France. Standing by the shore, distance suddenly feels horizontal rather than vertical. The water stretches nearly 70 kilometers from end to end, quietly shaping life along its edge. You walk along the promenade, where movement slows and attention drifts outward. Somewhere early on, a question begins to surface. What draws people to water, again and again, across different landscapes and cultures? In Lake Geneva, the answer feels immediate and physical. The water reflects light upward, softening the mountains that rise behind it. Boats move slowly across the surface, turning distance into time. You step onto one of them, feeling the land release its hold beneath your feet. From the water, towns and vineyards line the shore like a continuous ribbon. Terraced vineyards rise gently from the lake, some cultivated here since Roman times. Above the water, the Alps pull back slightly, allowing space to breathe. You arrive in Montreux, a lakeside town resting at around 390 meters above sea level. With a population of just over 25,000 people, Montreux feels intimate yet outward-looking. Palm trees line the promenade, creating a contrast between alpine air and Mediterranean imagery. The town's mild climate has earned it the nickname the Swiss Riviera. As you walk, music quietly becomes part of the place. Montreux is known worldwide for its jazz festival, held here every summer since the late 1960s. Even outside festival season, sound feels welcome here. From the lakeshore, the Château de Chillon comes into view, resting on a rocky island just offshore. With over 1,000 years of history, it once controlled key routes through the region. Seen from the water, it feels less like a fortress and more like a marker of continuity. Water invites pause, reflection, and shared presence. Here, movement becomes optional rather than necessary. As evening approaches, the lake absorbs light and releases calm. And the journey continues, now carrying a sense of openness forward. By now, you've moved through mountains, valleys, cities, and water, each shaping the journey in its own way. What begins to stand out is not any single place, but how everything connects. Switzerland does not present itself as a destination, frozen in time. Instead, it feels like a country constantly adjusting without losing balance. You begin to notice this most clearly in how people move. Railways connect cities, valleys, and peaks with a precision measured in minutes rather than hours. More than 2/3 of daily journeys here are made by public transport, cycling, or walking. This choice shapes not just efficiency, but quality of life. Energy follows a similar pattern. Nearly 2/3 of Switzerland's electricity comes from renewable sources, largely hydropower. Water, which shaped the land for thousands of years, now helps power its future. You see this balance in cities where green spaces remain close, not pushed to the edges. And in villages where development happens carefully, respecting scale and landscape. Innovation here rarely announces itself loudly. It integrates into daily life, often unnoticed. You feel it in how cities stay walkable, even as they grow. And in how nature remains accessible, not distant. Somewhere near the end of the journey, a final question begins to surface. What does progress look like when it doesn't rush forward? Progress means moving ahead without erasing what already works. It means designing systems that support both people and landscape, and allowing time to remain part of the equation. As a traveler, you realize this country doesn't ask you to rush through it. It invites you to move with awareness instead. The future here feels less like a destination and more like a direction. One shaped by balance, restraint, and long-term thinking. As the journey comes to a pause, the impression lingers. Switzerland shows that moving forward doesn't always mean moving faster. Sometimes it simply means choosing to move well. If you enjoyed traveling through Switzerland with us, take a moment to like this video. It helps this journey reach more people who love exploring the world slowly. And if you'd like to continue discovering places like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. New journeys are always on the way. Thanks for traveling with us.